Welcome to the Villa Forever podcast. I am your host, Chad Williams. This evening, I'm joined by my special guest, Dan Bardell, who is the host of The Villa View. I'm so happy to have you on the show, Dan. How are you?
Thanks ever so much. Thanks. I am good, mate. Really good. Thank you ever so much for having me on. I think it's amazing what you're doing. It's credit to you for putting yourself out there and doing it. I think it's really, really good that you're doing it, and I like what you're doing. So thank you
very
so much
much
for talking to me, and you know, love talking about Villa all the time. It's what I spend my life doing, pretty much. So it'd be great to talk about Villa with you.
Well, I'm really looking forward to the Wolves game at the weekend. I'm going with Grandad, actually.
Yeah. Oh, you go in. So I haven't got a ticket for the Wolves game. I should be at the Liverpool away game, but I haven't got one for Wolves. But yeah, be a good chance for Villa to bounce back. Obviously, lost our first game for a while at the weekend, so it'll be a good chance for us to bounce back and be a good game. They've got really nothing to play for, have they? So I think for them, it's probably their biggest game left this season, and it's important for us that we don't end up losing a few in a row and we get back on track and keep pushing towards Europe.
Well, they lost 6-0, they did, against Brighton.
They did, yeah. They did.
So
I watched it at the weekend.
It's sort of interesting, really, to see, because I want a reaction from their fans as well.
Yeah, their fans will absolutely love beating Villa, and in fairness to them, by and large, in the last 6-7 years, they have beaten us at Molineux. But we're a different team now. We're in a much better place than we have been in the last decade, with an excellent manager and players that are giving everything for the shirt every single week. And although I think there's a few tired legs out there at the moment, hopefully 6 days of not having a game and just having training, we'll be able to get a few players back perhaps, and we'll go there and we'll be confident just because we've lost.
Yeah, we should be confident. Yeah,
I still think the confidence will still be there, won't it?
Yeah, if we win that one, I think the European charge is back on.
I don't think it's off. I think it's still there. One defeat in 11, isn't it? That's still very much European form. And I did a podcast last night where I said, at the moment, 7th gets Europe. I'm looking at it at the moment as us against Tottenham for top 7. If you look at it purely from that basis, at the moment, Villa have more momentum than Tottenham. We've got to play Tottenham at Villa Park.
Of course, we'll win that one.
I would back us to finish ahead of them at the moment. Yeah, I would back us to finish ahead of them at the moment, which, if we do, means European football back, which is what we all want, because it's been a very, very long time since Villa were in Europe.
We're going back to the Wolves game. My granddad's a big Wolves fan.
Oh, no.
So there'll be a lot of banter.
Are you in the Wolves end?
Well, the away, the Villa end, yeah. Did the away Villa end? Yeah.
You're in the Villa end, that's good. That's
good.
You don't want to be in the home end.
So we got a lot of banter there.
I can imagine. I can imagine. Yeah, to be honest, I haven't got any of that really with anyone in my family or friends. I don't really know that many people who aren't Villa fans, to be honest. So I don't really have that element in my life.
Well, still trying to convert my granddad into a Villa fan.
I think you've probably lost that battle at this point.
Yeah, I think I have now, yeah. Well, Dan, before we get into the interview, I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Chad Williams. I'm 27 years old. I have a genetic muscle wasting condition called Duchenne Muscular Dystrophy. It affects all of the muscles, and I am paralysed. I was diagnosed at 3 years old, and I stopped walking when I was 9 years old. I have very sadly lost close friends and people whom I knew with this condition. I'm using the podcast as a way to spread awareness about the condition. It's a terrible disease. So, Dan, if you could you please spread some awareness for me?
Absolutely, absolutely. As I said at the start, I think it's really, really important, and obviously a massive thing for you that you come on and you do these podcasts and you're spreading the word of what's going on in your life, which is, you know,
Yeah,
I obviously can't imagine it's horrific that you're having to go through that, and I'm really sorry that you're having to go through it, and sorry to hear about, you know, losing friends to the illness as well. Like
it's
that's
okay.
it's horrible, isn't it? It puts life into perspective. You know, we're going to sit here and talk about
Of
football
course.
for the next 40 minutes or so, but there is more important things in life than football. But what football is very good at is bringing people together and getting people talking. And if
Yeah,
people have got stuff going on in their lives, football is a very good way of spreading that. So obviously, using my platform, mate, I will
yes.
100% do that. When we've done this podcast, I will
Oh,
put it
thank you.
out
That really
absolutely
means a lot.
everywhere on social media. And yeah, I just wish you all the best with it, because it's obviously very, very important to you. And podcasting at the best of times it can be
Yeah,
a really difficult thing to do. So you have my full respect for the fact that you are spreading this awareness and you are putting yourself out there, because I think credit to you. I imagine it would be very, very easy
yeah.
to hide away and not do this, but you're using your love of Aston Villa to spread the word. And like I say, you have my full admiration, Chad.
Well done. I watch the Villa very regularly. You're probably one of the reasons, actually, that I did my own podcast, because you inspired me.
You know, it's lovely for me to hear that. Not often I'm speechless. I don't really know what to say to that,
Yeah,
but it's a lovely thing to hear, and I appreciate your support. Obviously, you know, without people like you tuning in and watching me, I wouldn't have gone on to do some of the stuff in my career that I've gone on to do. So I'm very, very grateful to you for watching me over the years. And if
yeah.
I've managed to inspire you in any way possible, I find that absolutely amazing, because to me, I'm just someone who just sits there and talks about football. You know, I'm very, very fortunate in my life. I've got a lot of good things going for me. So again, I thank you ever so much for your support, and I credit you for putting yourself out there. It's really nice of you to say that, and to,
No
you know, if
problem.
yeah, like I say, I don't really know what to say to that. I wasn't expecting it.
Well, despite the daily challenges I go through, I always live life to the full. I have a very busy social life. I volunteer twice a week in my local community. I've been an Aston Villa supporter for 22 years, and I'm a season ticket holder in the Trinity Road stand.
Okay.
Also, another reason why I want to do this podcast is to inspire other people that no matter who you are, you can achieve anything.
And I think again, that's what you're doing, isn't it? I think it's really, really commendable that you're doing it, and you're obviously passionate about it. And I know we're going to come on to questions and stuff further on
Yes,
in the podcast, but you're obviously very, very passionate about Villa and very passionate about spreading this awareness. So combining the
yeah,
two things is really, really good. I always say, like, if you want to do a I know this is a question you were going to ask me anyway. I know
oh
if
yeah,
you want to do a podcast, it's got to be about something that you care
of
about,
course.
and something that you're passionate about. And obviously, you combining these two things, I can see that you're very passionate about both. So I wish you all the very best with the podcast and in your life as well, Chad.
You can what is with Aston Villa, it's always escapism for me.
Yeah,
It's what takes my mind off everything else.
yeah. I think it's a big. Anyone in life needs that.
Yes,
You
it
need
is.
you need something you can escape with, something that can at times distract you. You know what you're going through. As I've said, I can only imagine what it is you go through on a daily basis. But if the club you love brings you some solace. I mean, I know up until recently, it's probably brought a lot of pain
Of
to
course.
you as well, because we haven't been very good over the last decade. But if the club you love can bring you that, then I'm so pleased to hear that, because like I've said, that is what football is all about. It is about that escapism, and it is about bringing people together. You know, if it wasn't for football now,
Yeah,
me and you wouldn't be talking. I'd have no idea about your condition and what you go through every day. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased that because of football and because of Villa, we get the chance to do that.
And the good times are back now. I've been a Villa fan. But the good days again.
Yeah, again, I said last night on the I said on whenever I did the Villa view, I can't remember when it was. You know, when I was young, Villa were always in Europe. I was going to European games all the time, and I haven't had that for a long time now. A lot of teams who you would perhaps say are smaller clubs than Villa have been in Europe and had that experience, whereas it's not something we've had over the last decade or so. And the last time we were in Europe, we didn't really take it seriously.
Yeah.
But with the good times are back, and it's to do with everyone behind the scenes, and it's to do with the players as well. But the main reason is the manager, because they've pulled in an excellent manager who's proven
Uno Emery, he's a genius. He is.
Yeah.
But look what he's achieved already.
Yeah, and if Villa get into Europe, which we're all hoping that they do,
fingers crossed.
There's no better manager to be in charge of a club like Villa in Europe, because he's won. I think he's won three or four trophies. He's won on the European stage. He absolutely knows what he's doing in that environment and that arena. So I think that's what's really exciting for Villa now. If we get into Europe, you feel like it's not going to be a one season thing, and you got that chance to win a trophy. You said you've been supporting Villa 22 years.
Yeah, 22 years. That's right. Yeah.
So other than the playoffs, you haven't seen Villa lift a trophy, which, you know, when I was young, again, 1996, the last time Villa won a trophy, I just assumed that it was every few years. This is what happens, and we've had a few near misses. We've got to a few ones, but we haven't won that trophy since 1996.
Well, that was the year I was born, 1996.
That was a great year, 1996. Villa were really good, and under Brian Little in 1996 as well. And like I say, I just thought it was every few years we'd be winning trophies, but it hasn't transpired like that at all.
So where did the idea of the Villa View podcast come from?
I would say I was quite lucky in two respects with the Villa View, because the channel had already started. So Dan Rollinson and Matt Lynch started the channel in the year we went down. So it was just a case of they purely just did fan cams standing outside Villa Park interviewing the fans the season that we went down. And then we got taken over by Dr. Tony, and at the time there was a little bit of a more feel good around the club, because we'd had an awful season, only won 3 games. We got this new owner.
That was a season to forget. That was.
I mean, to be fair, the one after that was as well in the Championship. But I just ended up I sensed that there might be an opportunity to do a few more things than just fan cams, and wanted to get involved. And I already knew Matt Lynch from when I used to do writing and stuff, because he used to write for the same outlet that I wrote for. So I already knew him. So I asked if I could get involved, and they felt I was a good fit, and I was lucky enough that they let me on board. So we were doing our shows, and then I made friends with a Villa fan at work called Tom Julian, who was a little bit ahead of the game, in fairness, with podcasts. And
I remember Tom Julian. I remember he used to be on there.
Yeah, so he came up with the idea of actually doing a podcast sat together in a booth every single week. We were fortunate enough that we could use facilities that we had access to, and we created that podcast every single week. And I think that was when the channel really started to take off. People loved that podcast. Like, I don't think until it finished, I realised how popular and how much of a big part of people's week that podcast was.
So are you with technology?
Am I good with technology?
It's changed over the years.
I mean,
since you did the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, because of COVID as well, suddenly everyone did start doing podcasts, like online, like this, didn't they? Before, really, everyone was sat together doing all this stuff, but the COVID really changed how people did things. So you've got the flexibility in the world now of being able to do stuff like this, and being able to do stuff sat next to each other as well. So Tom came up with that idea, and I was very fortunate again to be a part of it. And I'd love to still be doing stuff with Tom, but he moved to Germany, and his job means that he can no longer dedicate the time, and he hasn't got the resource in his time to do that kind of thing anymore. And I miss doing it with him, because I loved sitting with him every week and just talking about Villa.
How's Tom doing now?
Really good, really good. He's got a young family. He's living in Germany. He's got 2 kids now. He's really happy, doing really well in his work. Obviously, working in German football as well. He's got a real real tough, well, not a tough job. He's got a really good job.
Yeah.
He's done really well for himself, and he's progressed his career, and he's working in the environment that he wants to work. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things with the Villa View is that I think most people that have been involved have gone on to do what they want to do and in their career. And I think the Villa View played a part in that for everyone. So I think that's a really nice thing. And I've forged friendships for life being with Villa View. I'll always be friends with Rollo, for example, Dole, and people I wouldn't know. I've met so many people as well through doing the Villa View. So like I say, it's not lost on me that I've been very, very fortunate and very lucky to be talking about Villa all these years.
Did you expect the Villa View to become a big success?
It's a difficult question because, like I said, I don't think I realised when I was doing it how much people enjoyed that podcast, and now
Yeah.
the fan media is very different. So I still do the Villa View, but I probably do it as more of a hobby and a chance to talk to my friends about Villa than anything, because my career has gone the way I wanted it to in terms of talking about football for other outlets, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to do the Villa View, because I wanted to prove that I could do it and that I could talk about football and try and forge a career path for myself, which I've been lucky enough to have done. But so in that term, I suppose it's been a success because it has set a lot of people on a pathway, and people still watch it and people still enjoy it. You know, the numbers sometimes look like they're down on YouTube, but because we're going out on so many different places now, the numbers at the moment are really high. And when Villa are doing well, that obviously really helps with people listening and people tuning in. So I still love doing it because I said to you at the start, I love talking about Villa, and it's a chance to do that with my friends. And if it means a lot to people and people enjoy it, you know, people come up to me at Villa Park all the time and say how much they love it, then that's a really nice thing. And you know what you said to me at the start, that's a really nice thing to experience and a nice thing to be a part of.
Because it shows how much we love our club.
Yeah, everyone who does it, you're doing it out of love for the club. But there's, you know, it's difficult to take that next step. I know, because it took me a very long time. So all these people that are doing it, you're doing it in your own time. With, you know, you've got a job, you've got a full-time job going on at the same time, and family life and things like that. So, you know, you're doing it and talking about Villa because you love Villa and you love talking about Villa. And there's so many to choose from now. It's brilliant because if I'm not someone's cup of tea, they've got 5 or 6 other podcasts that they can tune into and they can listen to as well. And I think Villa fan media in general is a lot more level-headed than maybe other clubs' fan media. I think we're really, really fortunate that people that come on, people that take their time to talk about Villa in the fan media are all pretty level-headed and love the club, and I think they represent the club in a good way, and I think that's something that should be appreciated.
Well, we've started my own podcast. It's given me a new lease of life.
That's good. That's good. I mean, you've obviously, you know, you've got very specific reasons for wanting to do it, and the fact that it's helping you as well. That's absolutely brilliant because, like you say, you've got that escapism, but it's helping you mentally as well, which is really, really good and really, really important as well in this day and age, that you've got something that you can use as an outlet, and you've got something that really helps you. So I'm really pleased to hear that.
What it is, I always keep positive.
Yeah,
always keep mental attitude. Thank you.
Yeah, it'd be easy to look. It would be easy. Again, I can't stress enough. I have absolutely no idea what you go through on a daily basis. I'm very fortunate. I can't imagine what it's like for you going through this. But to keep that positive attitude is a credit to you and a credit to the people you must have around you as well. Having good people around you is really, really important. And I'm sure you've got that, Chad.
I've got a great support network.
Everyone needs that. Everyone needs that.
Because I've got great family members. I've got great family, real good caregivers, real good support network.
Yeah, I'm really, really pleased to hear that, and I imagine they're very supportive of you doing this as well, which again is a big thing, because people could easily turn around to you and say, "Oh, I'm not sure you should do it, not sure it's a good idea," but it's a brilliant idea from what you've said about how it makes you feel. That's brilliant.
So, what advice would you give to podcasters who have just started?
The first piece of advice that was given to me was by Dan Rollinson, and at the
Yeah,
time I thought I didn't really take it seriously, but he said to me, "The audio is the most important thing," and I
yeah,
used to think, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure that it is, but actually, the
yeah,
audio, having good audio and having the right equipment is really really important. And I think now that equipment, because of the way the world is so accessible, and it doesn't break the bank. So if it's something that you want to do as a hobby, it's easily accessible to a lot of people. Look, it won't be for everyone, and that's probably a story for another day. The world is tough at the moment out there financially for a lot of people, but for a lot of people, it will be accessible, that they'll be able to start their own podcast and they'll be able to use social media to promote it. So at the moment, in the way the world is, everything's there. If you've got access to the equipment, you've got access to social media, you're able to broadcast, which is what you want to do. But that first piece of advice on sound, I didn't really take it seriously when Rollo first said that to me, but he was absolutely spot on. And then it's just like I said to you, find something that you're passionate about. It doesn't matter if there's 50
yeah.
other people doing a podcast on the same thing. You've got to do what's right for you in terms of something that you're
That's it.
passionate about,
You
and
got
it's
to
going to
do
mean
something that
something
you're
to you.
passionate about.
Yeah, and
So
it's got to mean something to you.
enjoy.
Like
That's it. Yeah,
the Villa View would have never gone anywhere if the people that were doing it weren't passionate
yeah,
and didn't care about Villa. People don't want to watch people do something that they don't care about. They
of course.
want to watch people do something that they're passionate about. And obviously, football is such a big thing, and Villa is such a big thing. We were lucky because we were the first ones that did a video podcast and did a fan channel, really. So when you're the first person to do something, you get advantages in that, and we've definitely had some of that over the years on the Villa View and the people that have been on the Villa View. But yeah, the main thing is that the audio is good would be the first one, and the second one would be that it's something that you care about and something that you're passionate about.
Did you always wanted to get into sports journalism?
Yeah, pretty much. I think when I was about 15, 16, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Obviously, loved football, loved Villa, had a season ticket, was going all the time to Villa, and I discovered that you could do sports journalism at university. But in the end, I just went for a more just normal journalism, basically, not sports journalism specifically. But I did a journalism degree. I wasn't very good at uni. In all honesty, I didn't work very hard. I spent most of my days not going in and playing Football Manager, but I've always had an interest in it. I probably didn't make the most of that opportunity, but what did happen for me when I was at uni was that there was Sky were running a scholarship program with my university, and luckily, where I was no good at the work, I've always been decent at talking. So speaking to those people and having to go through interviews to get on that scholarship, I was lucky enough to get through with two of my friends, and then at the end of it, they picked someone who they thought was the strongest candidate, and gave them a bursary and said, "We'll be back in touch with you when you finish uni." And luckily for me, I won that bursary, and I ended up getting a job in something called the tape library at Sky. So I've always worked for a media company, really, but I was not doing what I wanted to be doing, if that makes sense. So in the end, I had the full-time job, and then went my own way and started doing stuff in my own time, which again is it's an important part of developing, and it's an important part of learning. You're not going to get anywhere. Things don't just come to you, unfortunately. In life, you have to work
It's
hard
true.
for them, and you have to. I gave up a lot of my own time to try and hone myself and make myself better, and put myself out there and get myself in the position where it's great that I've ended up doing Sky Sports News and stuff like that. But it hasn't come from being at Sky doing the normal job. That has come because I've done stuff in my own time and I've worked my way up.
Good. It's like you've worked really hard to get to where you are. Massive achievement.
Yeah, look. When that first day I sat around that Sky Sports News desk, that was last year in August. I'd done a lot of great things before then. I'm not taking away from anything that I'd done. I'd worked for some really good media companies before that time. But when I was sat around that desk, Sky Sports News, the first day of doing the transfer shows, I was a little bit proud and a little bit
Mhm.
emotional because it was something that I'd always wanted to do. I'd
Yeah,
always wanted to be on Sky Sports News, sat around that famous table, and I've been lucky enough to do it now on a number of occasions. And
yeah.
it was a pinch yourself moment. Look, because there's lots of people that would dream
Mhm.
of doing that. I'm not the
Well,
only one, but
I would absolutely love to get on Sky one day. It's one of my dreams, actually.
you know what? It can happen. You've obviously got a passion for it. If you've got a passion
Mhm.
for something, absolutely anything can happen, and that's what I would say to anyone in in life. If you're passionate about something, things will come to
Mhm.
you if you work hard, and you should absolutely have that as an ambition
Yeah,
to be on Sky Sports News, whatever it is you want to do. Absolutely carry that ambition, because ambitions, looking forward to the future as well, things like that, they help
yeah.
you in life, I think.
So I'll go to the next question now. Where did you get your rescue dog? What'd you say? Phoebe, is it?
Tebow. So like basically,
That's it,
I was
Tina.
playing I was playing a lot of FIFA at the time, and I was playing against my best mate, and I was being Real Madrid quite a lot,
Yeah,
and I was trying to get a name basically that had something to do with football. So I've got four rabbits as well, and
yeah. That's
one of them's
nice.
called Chester, one of them's called Chester, one of them's called Larson, who obviously
Mhm.
they're both named after Villa players. But my wife at the we're not married anymore. We're on good terms, but we're not married anymore. So me and my wife, I've trying
Yeah,
to sneak football names in all the time
I can
for things,
understand.
and
Yeah.
she liked the name Tebow when I said it, and it really suited him. So yeah, got him from so he's a little Romanian rescue. So he
Oh,
came over from Romania. He's blind, so as far as I know, he's never been able to see. Although it is
well, bless
difficult
him.
because I don't know his full history, because he's a rescue
Mhm.
from Romania, and he'd been in care for a couple of years in the dog shelter, and
Yeah.
nobody had wanted to take him. He initially he came in with his brother who could see, and
Mhm.
someone adopted his brother but didn't want him because he was blind. So he kind of just kept getting left behind, and me and Ange at the time, we saw the picture of him, and just fell in
Yeah.
love with him instantly on that picture, and straight away tried to adopt him, and we were lucky enough. It was difficult at the time because it was
Of
COVID and there
course.
was Brexit, which were two really not great things to come along at that point when you're trying to adopt a Romanian
Of
dog. So
course.
he came over with his little dog passport, and had him ever since. And talk about things being an outlet and things. Sometimes
Mhm.
when you're struggling and you're down, having him, he's the rescue dog, but I can safely say probably over the last 6 months, he's probably
Yeah.
rescued me on a number of occasions. So although we performed that initial rescue, I
Mhm.
could not love that dog anymore. Like, I absolutely love him to bits. He's amazing the way he goes about his day to day life. He's so happy. He does. I don't think he knows any different than being blind. He's all he wants is to just be loved and to have a cuddle. And I give that to him. And like I say, I love him so much. I could do a podcast for hours on how much I love Tabor.
That's nice. So it's a amazing thing that you've done, really. That is really.
Yeah, look, I would never judge anyone for not rescuing a dog. Everyone's
Of
entitled
course.
to
Yeah.
do what they want. If someone wants to go and pay to buy a puppy and buy a dog, then absolutely everyone should be able to do what they want. But I've always been, especially over the last 5 years, I really care about animals. It's something that I'm passionate about. So I went vegetarian in
All
2019
right.
as well, because I saw things about the treatment of animals, and I just didn't really want
Mhm.
a part of it. I'm a big lover of Ricky Gervais, and I know he really into to rescuing, and
Mhm.
he pushes people to rescue dogs in the work that he does. So I just wanted to give a dog a home that was struggling, and that not everyone would have taken on. So yeah, he is undoubtedly one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And like I say, I couldn't love that dog anymore.
How old is your dog?
Well, it's an interesting question. So he hasn't been well,
I'm
unfortunately,
sorry to hear that.
over the last few weeks. Still trying to kind of figure out what's wrong with him at the moment. He's really happy still, but still
Yeah.
at the moment trying to figure out what's wrong with him. So we were told he was 4 when we got him, and then so obviously he'd be around 6 now. But when I took him to the vets the other day, the vet was like, he's not 6. He's at least 9. So I actually don't know how old he is. But again, like people take on puppies and things like that, and they're going to be with that owner for a long time. Again, because Tebow is a little bit older, less people are likely to take him on. But if I can give him the best life possible for the rest of his life, which is hopefully years and years and years, then it's a good
That's
thing to
brilliant.
do, and it's a nice thing to do, and he's the perfect dog for me. Perfect dog. I can't speak highly enough of it. I know everyone loves their dog and says, "Oh, my dog's the best dog in the world," but I genuinely believe that Tebow is an angel sent from heaven. He's the nicest natured creature I've ever come across in my life.
Did you enjoy writing for the Birmingham Mail?
Until I saw that question from you earlier when you sent it to, I'd forgotten that I'd done it.
Did you? Oh yeah.
I'd forgotten that I used to do it. So yeah, I used to do. Obviously that was where I started talking about Villa. Although obviously it was in written form, and that was why I set up a Twitter account at the time to try and kind of plug those articles. So I'd made a little bit of a name for myself, only a little bit with writing about Villa. I don't think I was the best writer in the world. I think I'm probably better at talking about football than I am than writing about it. Although I've just constructed that sentence poorly after saying I'm good at talking. I've then constructed the worst sentence of all time. But I think I was always better at talking about football than I was about writing about football. So the next step for me was moving that on, and because of the Villa View, I was able to do that. But it was a good experience. Back in those days, it was you'd see yourself in the paper as well. Like
I bet it was. Yeah, it was good.
It would be. That doesn't really happen now. I don't think. But it would. It would be in the paper. It would be on the website. People would engage with you on social media and either agree with you or disagree with you. Like the same with anything. So that's probably that was the start of me really getting involved in fan media. But I'd completely forgotten I did it until you mentioned it.
Also, Dan, I really enjoyed your 2019 playoff final video poem.
Yes.
I see you loved it.
Again, I was very lucky that people took to that, and people really enjoyed it and loved it. And I think it's on about 100,000 views now, which is by far our most.
That's amazing.
By an absolute long stretch, that's the highest viewed video. I think that was a good time, wasn't it? At that point,
Good times,
captaining the side, Dean Smith as manager, Luke Roper making the kit. So all those things came together, and it was nice to be able to just tell a story. It was an idea that me and Rollo had for a long time that we wanted to do something of that ilk, but there wasn't the occasion to do it. And then Villa had obviously been in the playoffs 12 months earlier, and then the fact that they were going back to Wembley. I was living in London at the time as well, so it was easy for me to get there. We just decided to have a go at doing it, and Rollo is one of the most professional people out there. He was all prepped and ready to go, and on the morning we were supposed to be doing it, I still hadn't even started writing. I proper left it till the last minute, and people probably don't believe this, but I genuinely knocked that poem up in about 2 hours.
Oh wow!
Just wandered down to Wembley to record it, and we didn't actually get to record it in the way that we wanted to record it because security kept saying you're not allowed to film here, you're not allowed to film here. So we kept having to try and find.
Did you have a permit? Did you?
No, we didn't get one. The Villa View didn't have enough money for permits in those days. So the way we wanted to do it, we couldn't do. So Rollo had to add images and stuff of the season into the final video, which wasn't
interesting.
What we wanted to do. But actually, I think in some ways in a lot of ways that those pictures telling the story combined with me walking around Wembley, I think they added to the video and actually made it better than what me and Rollo had our original idea. So yeah, I love doing that, and again, I'm not very good at looking back and being proud of things. There's probably only about 3 or 4 things in my career that I look back and am genuinely proud of. I'm quite hard on myself at times, but that was a good video. I know it was good, and when we were at the playoff final, I could tell how much people loved it because so many people came up and said how much they'd enjoyed it, and I believe it was played to the players as well before the final. So fact that the players saw it and Dean Smith saw it and things like that, that's unbelievable to me. It still blows my mind.
It made me very emotional watching that. It makes me proud to be a Villa fan.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster season, wasn't it? I mean, at one point we didn't look like we were going to go up at all. It looked a bit like this season, really. We were a bit in the doldrums, just probably felt like we weren't going anywhere. And then new manager comes in, and you go on a massive run, like 10-game run. I know we didn't win 10 in a row this time, but again, it's another 10-game run, isn't it? And we've got a chance to get back into Europe now, which if you'd have been asked that 2 months ago, you'd have said absolutely no chance. Is that going to happen? So. Few similarities, but between the two seasons, maybe
I remember
get back to Europe.
I remember that unbeaten 10-game run, and Jack Grealish come back from injury. He was unstoppable.
He was the catalyst, and I've interviewed many players who were involved in that squad, and if you ask them about that 10-game run, every single one of them says the same thing. Jack Grealish coming back and being made captain was absolutely massive. He's one of the best footballers I've ever seen play for Villa, and we were fortunate that we were able to watch him for so many years, and for him to be captain of his boyhood club. That's what we'd all have dreamed of doing, isn't it?
Very gifted player.
A brilliant player, and one of those players that we'd known was coming through for years and years and years, and at times it didn't look like maybe he was going to go on to the levels that he's at now, but I always thought this guy will go on and play for England. He's too good, and despite obviously he's ended up leaving, he's gone to Man City. He still loves Aston Villa, and I know his family do as well. And that will never go, and that will never be taken away. So hopefully he'll be back wearing the Villa shirt again someday, and I'm sure he will.
I think he'll come back in the future, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, a bit like Ashley Young, isn't it? It's amazing that Ashley Young was part of really the last good Premier League side Villa had, and then we've got another good one here, and he's ended up being a big part of that as well. It's amazing. So hopefully Jack can come back to the club when the club's fighting for having European football every single season, and he can come back and be a part of that at some point.
So how do you compare life living in London from Birmingham?
So I'm back in the Midlands now. So I've been back for the last last 18 months really. I've been back in the Midlands. I'm living in Lichfield now, which is a place I really like. Really like Lichfield.
That's not far from there.
Oh, where are you?
I live in Tamworth.
Oh yeah, so literally 10 minutes down the road, isn't it? We'll have to meet up.
Yeah, definitely have a drink. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'll definitely be up for that, mate. 100%. So yeah, we'll sort that out after the podcast. So yeah, I was never really a London person. Really. I lived there for a long time, but it never really suited me. I don't mind London. I think it's a nice place to go for the day, see the sights, do some shopping. But I just never really settled there. I've always been a Midlands boy, really. So I always want. I suppose I live in Staffordshire now. So yeah, I always wanted to come back, and I've come back, and I'm living in Lichfield now. But I've always preferred Birmingham over London. It's the place I look at as being my home. It's where I'm from. It's obviously where I sound like I'm from very heavily.
You've got a really Brummie accent.
Never gone anywhere. I lived away for 15 years, and if anything, my accent got worse. I don't know whether it was because I was still coming back for the tour every 2 weeks still. So I've had my season. I kept my season ticket when I was living down in London, so I was still coming back for every home game. But that accent has never gone anywhere, and strong Birmingham accent. I think I've got.
Where do you sit at the Villa?
So I sit in the Holt End upper. So I'm 5 rows back, bang in the middle, behind the goal, and that's the only seat I've had. So I've had that season ticket with my dad since I was 7. So that's 30 years now. I've been in the Holt End. So when it went all seater in 1994, I think it was 94. Yeah, it would have been Christmas 1994. I think it went all seater. So me and my dad have had those seats ever since then, and just something we'll always do together. And I'll always keep that season ticket because no one else has ever had a season ticket in that seat. So I want to keep that in my family and for the rest of my life if I can. So yeah, it's something I'll always do. And if you give up the season ticket now, you won't be getting it back for a very
Oh,
long
no.
time. So yeah, you're tied into it, really, aren't you?
Well, season ticket prices are going up.
Yeah, mine's gone up quite a bit over the last couple of years, which the club will have their reasons for
There's a lot of reasons,
doing
yeah.
it. They'll have their reasons for doing it. I don't like it. I'm the same as everyone else. It's a hard time in the world for a lot of people at the moment. But ultimately, I'm part of the problem because I will pay
Yeah.
it because I don't want to give it up. And if I do give it up, there'll be someone there to take it off my hands and sit in my sacred seat. So yeah, I'll always do it. That's just the way. It's part of my life, same as you.
Yeah, of
I
course.
don't remember a time in my life where I haven't gone to Villa home games. So it's something I'll always do.
Who is your favourite Aston Villa player of all time?
So it's a boring answer, and I've been asked this before, and people like you'll know who it is before I'm even about to say it probably. But Ian Taylor was my hero as a kid. I absolutely loved watching him because of the way he played the game.
Yeah.
How much you could see playing for Villa meant to him. He kissed the badge every time he scored. He'd be wearing those shirts that were about 50 sizes too big for him. But he absolutely loved the club and loved playing for Villa. Still, obviously, loves the club now, and he's heavily involved with the club. And I've been like I said, I've been lucky in a lot of ways in my life over the last few years with
You've interviewed Ian Taylor.
Yeah, I'd say me and him are friends now. I've been fortunate enough to have spent a lot
That's
of
good.
time with him, and I love it. Not only now do I love him to bits as for how he was as a player, I love him to bits as a person because he's so much fun to be around. He gives the Villa fans so much time as well. People are always coming up to him and asking for photos and wanting to talk to him, and he gives every single one of them his
nice.
time every time. He does it with a smile on his face because he is one of us ultimately. Tails, he's a lovely bloke. He loves a night out and loves a drink as well. But he's a lovely guy, and I've been really since Dolan introduced me to him whenever it was in 2016 or 17.
Yeah.
I want to say we've always been in touch, and I've worked with him. I've interviewed him quite a number of times actually. Yeah, I interviewed him for a whole season for Villa. So yeah, I've spent a lot of time with him, which is something that a lot of Villa fans would want to do. So
that's nice.
He's my favourite player. Probably nowadays it's Tyrone Mings. I just love everything that Tyrone Mings stands for as a person and as a player. He's so important to Villa. You really notice when he's not there, and he's stepped his game up a few more levels. And
I love John McGinn. I do.
Yeah, I see the shirt. I've met John McGinn a few times. Again, a lovely bloke. And from what I hear, he gives Villa fans so much time as well. He's an example of someone coming through a difficult period and coming out the other side of it. He wasn't having a good time this season. The fans were on his back. He was struggling. He was hung out to dry a little bit by the last manager. But Unai Emery's come in and McGinn's reinvented himself. And at the moment, I'd say arguably he's Villa's most important player.
You never know. I'm not to get a footballer on a podcast soon.
Hey, it can happen.
You never know.
It can definitely happen. It can definitely happen. And again, it's something to strive for, isn't it?
To aim for, yeah.
To aim for, yeah.
Also, Dan, I'd love you to spread the word about my podcast.
I will, 100%.
Thank you.
As soon as this is out, you'll see it on my Twitter page. I'll mention it on the Villa View.
Thank you.
For people, I'll post it on my Instagram. Mate, I'll do everything to spread the word for you. Don't worry about that.
And also, I've interviewed Neil Dunworth.
Oh, Neil, yeah.
I like him. He's a nice lad, he is.
Yeah, so again, if it wasn't for podcasts and wasn't for Villa, someone I'd never have spoken to in my entire life. Got to know him through him obviously starting a podcast and speaking to him and him coming on the Villa View. I mean, to be honest, nowadays he's on the Villa View as much as I am, isn't he? He's on all the time. He's on every channel now at the moment. So you've done well to get him on yours. But I met him I actually met him in person for the first time probably a month ago now. Just the night before the Forest game, we went out and had a few drinks.
That's nice.
Lovely bloke, lovely man. Enjoyable to be around. Good laugh. You can't help but smile. With Neil, Paddy, and Max and Simon from Villa on tour that night, and we had a great time just sitting around a pub, getting drunk and talking about Villa.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it's brilliant, mate.
If you could describe in one word that being an Aston Villa supporter, what would it be?
Never been asked that before. Probably just life, because it is a massive part.
It is.
Massive part of my life. I don't know what I would do if I wasn't going to the Villa, or sometimes if I wasn't doing podcasts and talking about Villa. I mean, absolutely nothing compared to what you're going through, but everyone has difficult times in their life, or times when they're struggling. And for me, doing this stuff has been an outlet at times when I'm feeling. I mean, sometimes Villa have added to me feeling down when they've got beat. But coming here today and talking to you, it's been a really, really nice thing to do, and it's been something, the way you've spoken, my respect for you is absolutely through the roof. So Villa life is the only word I can use to describe it, because it's such a big part of my life in so many ways as well. It's not just going to the games.
Of course,
it's daily, it's hourly. When I go to bed, I'm probably thinking about Villa. I'm probably dreaming about Villa at times in the night when I wake up in the morning.
About European football, yeah.
Yeah, European football's on everyone's mind at the moment. When I wake up in the morning, one of my first thoughts will be, what's going on with Villa? You have a look, don't you? You interviewed Greg, didn't you? You interviewed Greg Evans. One of the first things I do every morning. Yeah, one of the first things I do every morning is, has Greg written something about Villa for the Athletic? And I'm on there looking for it every day. So yeah, Villa is never far from my mind. So probably life is the best word I can think of to use to describe it.
I'm pretty same roller coaster. I mean, if I spit one word,
it's definitely been that, hasn't it? Definitely more downs than ups as well. Probably since you've been born as well, because as I say, you haven't even seen that since the trophy win. Not to rub it in. I was speaking to Max, and he's never seen Villa win anything.
Okay, I'll go to the next question.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts for the Man United game?
Just maybe a game too far for them. It's been the same players that have been playing week in, week out. There's been a couple of times when there's been 2 games a week as well, and they've been playing so much good football, playing in such a way. It's obviously going to take it out of you. We're missing 4 players at the moment, but with the size of our squad, if you take 4 players out, that makes a huge impact. So they've been doing well to carry on the run that they've had week in, week out. We were always going to lose. At some point, I will say I was really confident going to Old Trafford. I really fancied us to beat them, but it wasn't to be. They've been excellent at home all season. Manchester United. And
it was one of those days, I think.
Yeah, even just when we're bad now, we weren't brilliant. But even when we're not brilliant now, you still feel like we could have taken something away from it. We quite easily could have scored in that game. So I think that's the big thing under Emery now. Even when we're not great. I mean, we've won not being great a few times. That probably hasn't been possible over the last 5-6 years as a Villa team. We have to be at it to win games. Now we can win games in different ways. We're a constant threat, although we didn't score on Sunday. We've scored in every game but one since the new manager came.
Yeah.
So we carry so much of a threat now. We're so enjoyable to watch. And even though we've lost a game, but I haven't lost any confidence in the team, really.
Yeah, the belief is still there.
Yeah, and it will be with the players as well. They'll know they've put themselves in a magnificent position, and I think they'll probably be looking at it in a similar way that I'm looking at it. Is we can at the very least finish ahead of Spurs, and if we do that, we're in the Europa Conference League.
Well, Dan, I'll go on to the last question. What do you expect from Wolves on the weekend? Go back to the Wolves again.
Tough game. They won't be as bad as they were against Brighton at the weekend. They'll be galvanised because it's Villa. Their fan base will be galvanised, but we'll be the same. Our players will be up for it. I think, like I said, we haven't had the best of times at Molineux in recent years, but Aston Villa we're still sixth in the league at the moment. Wolves are towards the bottom end of the Premier League still at the moment. We are a better team than them, so I would
Yeah,
fancy us to go there. We've got every chance of going there and getting 3 points and keeping ourselves in touch with the dream, which is
the thing
what we're doing in
is,
football.
at Molyneux, we haven't got a great record in the last couple of years.
No, I think the only one we've won was when it was COVID and no one could go. We won 1-0,
So
didn't we,
it'd be
last
nice
minute.
to pour more misery on them.
Yeah, their fans are looking to next season now. They've not had a
They
great
are.
season. Now they'll be happy to have survived, but they'll take great pride in obviously denting Villa's European hopes, as we would if it was the other way around. So it'll be a hostile atmosphere. It'll be a tough game, but I would back these boys to come out the right side of it.
Yeah, so what would you go? What would be your score prediction?
I will go 2-1 to Villa. 2-1 to Villa. Because you're there, John McGinn on the score sheet.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2-0 Villa.
2-0, bit of clean sheet. Be nice to keep a clean sheet. We've kept so many clean sheets recently. I almost didn't know what to do with myself when we lost on Sunday. I felt like I haven't had that feeling for a long time of us losing a game. So it was a bit of a strange feeling because we'd had a few months without experiencing that feeling, hadn't we?
Well, Dan, I'm going to bring this episode to a close. Thank you everyone for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And please comment and let me know your thoughts. Please remember to subscribe to my channel. Thank you, Dan, for your time.
Pleasure, anytime. I know it took a while to nail it down and get me on because I'm being rubbish with my phone, but I'm glad we've done it. And if you want me on again at any point to talk about Villa, I'd be more than happy to come on and talk to you again, Chad.
And also, the last thing to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa, yeah.
Come on, boys.
Best way to end a podcast, and I will say you're better at getting people to subscribe